Hello, this is Christina, digital marketing coach, and today is new episode of KSM podcast, Growing Business Online with Christina. And I'm super happy today to have my special guest speaker, Abby. Abby, uh, can you tell?
Bassie-Cripps.
Yes, Abby, welcome to the podcast.
And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm super happy to have you today. And can you tell us a little bit about you? Where are you based? Who you are? What you do? There are three questions, so we can start with all those three. First, second, third.
Well, I started off with computers back in the 80s when it was DOS and eventually Windows 3.1. And with that started off with my dad seeing computers come into his printing industry. And so he got a computer after computer, and my brother and I got the hand-me-downs. And we played with them, made them better, and had fun with them. And we grew up in our teens with computers. And so the 90s comes along and it became so easy because by then I'd learned so much. And I have to admit, I don't know everything, but I know a lot to help people enjoy their computer and also protect them as well. So anything about computers, I've gotten to the point where chances are I can help. And so, but I never thought of it as a job because, uh, I take care of people and the computer, where most tech shops here in North America, they just take the computer, format it, fix it, do whatever repair needs to be done, and give it back to the customer. And that's it. They don't take care of the customer. And so I ended up in trucking. And so I ended up driving the big 18-wheel trucks. And so I did that for 30 years. And it came to the end of my choice of ending the career at 30 years. And it was 2015. And I'm sitting around becoming a couch potato. And like, I don't want to do that. Couch potato meaning sitting there watching TV, doing nothing. And I didn't want to do that. So it dawned on me, why not do my passionate hobby? And it's been a joy every day since. I've not had one day where I got upset with the client. It's been, I've got an abundance of patience to help people. And to help me with the patience, I've been riding a unicycle since I was 12. So I get that physical venting, so to speak. And I live in the woods now. And being in nature, the combination ends up being such a great form of increasing my patience for people, helping them through their problems.
And this is so nice, and you started, as you said, from your 30 years career. So, and in that time, like it's no like nowadays, it was like for some people very new path for technology and to connect with that. And did you, as you said, did you work in such a big corporation and then started your own business journey? As I'm on the right way. And can you share with us how did you start? Your challenge to be in such a big corporation and then start. What triggered you to start your own business?
Well, being a truck driver, I was very independent. I choose my route. I actually would load the truck, so I'd go in the route I wanted to take. And so in a way, it was um, making business decisions all along. So when I stopped the trucking and hopped into my business of helping people with computers, it was almost a natural transition. But there was things that I didn't know about behind the scenes aspect, like QuickBooks, accounting, marketing, things like that I was never involved with. So that was a learning curve. But one of the things I tried to do was a typical aspect that tech shops do, where they work on the local community. Well, that wasn't going so good because I live in an economically depressed region. It was still working. I still had happy customers, but I didn't have enough clientele. And then COVID hit and my business tanked. And so I took an evaluation of the situation and realized, wait a minute, I can do all of this online. I don't have to have the computer in my hands. So since then, all my clientele has been from all over North America and beyond. I even have I live in 3 hours north of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I have a client that lives in California, city I can't remember offhand, but she went and flew to France. I'm still helping her with some of her issues. She's learning the computers. So I'm not just helping her with the computer, I'm teaching her, tutoring her, and helping her cope and to help her enjoy her computer. And so I can help people anywhere.
And I've been, I clearly understand what you're talking about because I'm here in Serbia, Southeast Europe. But when we started, I run my team for the web and graphic design for 13 years. And for me, I was like, imagine that I can sit down in front of my computer and travel all around the world, which is so good. And in that time, we started, in Australian market, US marketing, Europe, Canada, and also what I started 5 years ago as a coach. So, and after that, I started my podcast 4 years ago. And now I know how it was. So you can sit down, you should be on the beach, should be in a forest, on wood, whenever you want, sit down and work with your clients, which is so amazing, thankful to such a kind of technology. And this is so, and I totally understand what are you talking about. Yeah, and this is really amazing. And how people your clients, how did they just overcome that they should work with you online, so you don't have barriers, you don't have boundaries because all international market is in one space on internet.
Internet, yes. The internet is so international. I don't really know how to respond to that query. It just, once I made the realization that I can do all this online, we'll say 90% of my work is done online. The other 10% is local people. And so once I got to that point, it became international, became such an obvious step to take, became a natural step to take to become international.
Yeah, and that's nice. I understand, and as I said, you said, and many people, thanks to technology, we can work anywhere and everywhere in the world, which is so fantastic, and very, very useful for people. Just as we met on networking event, and now we are here and have this podcast today, this episode, which is so I'm impressed. And and what do you mostly do with your you work as a coach, as a consultant, and what is the core of your business now in terms of online space? Because this podcast is going to be on Apple, Amazon, Podchaser, FM Player, Radio Public, New York City, in Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, about on 10 platforms. So this is going to be, and I love this because as such a great platform for my guest speakers. And what is so good about it is such a good news that this podcast has been selected one of 20 top podcast in growing business online.
Nice.
It's worth of listening in 2023. I got that from Feedspot, which I'm super happy with that, just to share. And this is in this episode, I'm sharing this for the first time. So I'm super happy with this podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice news.
Thank you. Yeah, very, very impressive news. So I didn't expect, but yeah, people just love that. And because of that, because the point is to help them to grow online, especially if they're in offline space and then wanted to move in online space. So just maybe if I not disturb you with this comment, but I think that I can get back on track with questions, which I asked you.
Sure. You did ask a question, and that was what I classify myself as.
Yes,
In
of
simple
course.
terms, I refer to myself as many things, but I think the most obvious one is yeah, there's coaching. I do coaching automatically. I don't get hired as a coach, but I think consultant is the most relevant word to put to my service. The fact that I do tech is just a bonus to that. So I think that, to keep it simple, I think that's the best way to describe myself: a consultant with added tech, and on the topic of tech, and with the added coaching to help enjoy the computer.
And what type of problem do you solve with your to your clients? Just like example, because what is so important, there are many things. They are so
Yes.
simple, but for
Yes.
listeners who will listen to this podcast, just to connect if they have such a kind of problem in terms to
Yes.
repair computer or to, I don't know, because of that, I'm not too much familiar with computers on that way. But
Yes.
if you can just help us explain a little bit description that people
Yes.
can understand and can connect with you in terms that they have such a problem with their computers.
Awesome. What I find the most common over the years, with doing this business and doing it as a hobby, people come to me saying, "Abby, I think I got a virus," but I go to clean up the computer and I do a computer software cleaning, maintenance. I check the security. I check a variety of different things. Basically, I call it a computer tune-up. And so people come to me thinking they got a virus, but in actuality, all they needed was the tune-up.
It's
And
nice,
that's the most common aspect I get.
Oh, that's fantastic. So every single person who has computer just need that kind of support and help and
Yes.
maintaining, of course,
Yeah.
That's
And I
fine.
have, a typical session for that is 2 hours, maybe 3, depends on the amount of questions a client has. And I also have a monthly service plan, and it basically allows me a half hour-ish, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, where I go in and do the little tune-up. I first did the big tune-up, that's 2 to 3 hours. Then I do the small tune-ups, and I do that once a month, and their computer stays reliable and protected.
That's nice. And in terms of coaching, what clients could would learn from you in terms of coaching? The point is just that listeners just know more about you, and this is as a special guest speaker today.
Well, I find that people that are basically around the age of 40 and up never learned computers in school, or not properly. And the younger folk don't know about security. So that is a sense of where my clients come from. So most of my clients are over 40. And when somebody does get a corrupted computer that's younger, that doesn't know how to fix it, I'm there to help them with the security as well, and get it rectified. So to really boil it down, it really ends up being business women over 40 that are the majority of my clients.
And you want to say that you are mostly work with businesswomen, female entrepreneurs over 40 plus.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you're right when you said that we learn something in school, but it's not too much enough for people in later in year when they just grow up and in a business they need something to learn much more, because this is something
Right.
basics but not enough for completely understanding how to
Correct.
about security of computer or other many other things.
Yes. For example, I learned in Canada, we learn French in public school and high school. And I learned a bunch of French, but I never used it. And so it's the same thing with computers. You learn a bit in school, you don't use it for a while, and you forget about it. And that's where I get clients as well and get them back on track to where they need to be.
Just to remind themselves what they learned when they but they didn't use it, you know. That's really true, you know, 100%. Yeah. And for people, you know, when do you know, just to in terms of, do you do group sometimes in terms of coaching, do you do group are you going to do group coaching one-to-one or one-to-group, or you have some, you know, social media group, or you know, just when people you're let's say like your funnel, when people can connect with you and message you, or in terms to in they wanted to, you know, just connect on social media, for example. And what is
Yeah.
your favorite social media platform to connect with
Well,
leads and
I
clients?
like the idea of LinkedIn. However, I get more people connected to Facebook. And other, you know, it depends on where in the world they are as well. I adapt myself to their way of communication. Like, for example, the client that went from California to France, we're now communicating through WhatsApp. So I am flexible on different platforms to help people in terms of education or consulting. Any word you want to use to describe my service, it's been typically one-to-one. But I am in the process of doing reels or quick videos from my sorry, Tech Talk Thursdays. I have it one Thursday a month where I talk about whatever the people bring up. So if they bring up a question about Facebook, well, we talk about Facebook. If they bring up a conversation about anything about computers, we talk about that. And so I'm creating the next step is posting these mini reels and then get a more sense of what a group class would be like. And so I'm going to be doing, I've done classes before. I've done group before COVID. I've done groups, and they were all local. But now I'm going to be switching over to a webinar version of each webinar is a complete topic of something like internet safety, Facebook, how to use your Microsoft operating system. That was a popular one before COVID because the older folks were making mistakes and they didn't know what mistakes they were making. So the idea is have these different webinars available for people to purchase. And then I'm going to do actual groups such as a Zoom meeting where people will come in and we're going to talk about internet safety or we're going to talk about Facebook. And that's all planned and scheduled. So yes, I'm going to be bringing back the educational part of what I do as well.
And this is nice. So for maybe for this more than 100 guest speakers, but you're really unique in terms of computer safetyness and everything. And do you help people with mobile phones as well, in terms of
Well,
this? So as a
yeah,
device,
it's a
because people,
computer.
yeah,
Of a cell phone, a tablet, laptop,
all
uh,
those devices.
all of them are computers. And so I've dealt with all the versions all along. Like I even had the old original briefcase type phone, and they were heavy beasts because of the battery. But I've had them all along, and so here in North America, especially Canada, I don't do cell phones per se because the providers offer free services. So as time goes on, I will be doing reels or shorts or whatever you want to call them, short videos, where it's going to talk about a variety of different things for cell phones. But as a class, probably not, because so many of the services are free from the big names like Rogers, TELUS, here in Canada. So that's where that's going to go. So typically, I don't do cell phones, but I can help with cell phones.
That's nice. And when you, Abby, when you mention in terms to do videos, do you have your Facebook group and put them there as a recording? When you said one on Thursday, once a month, you do that. Are you going to do that live on Facebook in your group, or where listeners can find you on a way to connect with you and to get it? How do
You
you?
gave me a thought to do it live on Facebook as well. I'll consider that.
Oh, that's nice.
Um,
This is interaction, and the
yes,
point of cast and podcast during Business Online is to share ideas. We are here
yes,
to share ideas, and through this conversation, we always have a new ideas and such a kind of brainstorming.
yes.
This is and I love this episode today. Is such amazing. And I want always to ask my guest speakers many questions just to be much more clear what they do and how they can help people all around the world. As you do is because we all need your services, to be honest. Is that correct?
Oh, we all do. Um, all the computers came from what's called Unix, and the tree of life for computers all comes from that. So you got Windows, Mac, Linux, and all the versions of, and many more different kinds of computers. That because they all come from the same source. I have an analogy for people, for the listeners here, and the analogy is, in a car, we all have the steering wheel, the accelerator, the brake, and sometimes a clutch. And the signals are all behind the steering wheel or on the dash, or you got the AC and heater, and they all there, but they all look a little different. It's the same thing with all the computers. Having that mindset of that analogy, everybody can transition from Windows to Mac to Linux with very little effort.
Yeah, and what did you say that you just can help people in terms of internet secure and protection on many social media, and also how to protect your computer,
Yes.
which is so important. And
Oh,
yeah,
can I interrupt, please? A tip before I forget. I gave an analogy, but here's a tip. Anybody that has an app, a MacBook Pro or an iMac, any Apple product, get an antivirus program, whether it's free or pay for, because I've had antivirus on my iMac all along, more than 20 years. I've been putting an antivirus on my iMac. Recently, it caught 3 viruses within the last 4 months. So I was very lucky not to have my Apple corrupted, because a lot of people know that in the past, Apple didn't get viruses, but they do now. So if anybody has an Apple product, get an antivirus program.
Oh, this such a good this is such a good advice, you know, for listeners. Yeah, that's really nice. And what I wanted to also ask you is how you know how listeners can connect with you. But before that, what is about this wings
Oh,
behind? I wanted to ask you
um,
because
yeah. Thank you
what
for
is
that.
the meaning of that? Because when I met you, a networking event, and I was like, okay, it's such a because you're hair and it is like the similar color, so it was like, oh my gosh, with this wings. So
Well,
what
what
is the
the
meaning of that? Maybe you can
yes.
share with
Well,
us.
yes. On my website, I have a phrase along with my title that says, "I'm flying in from tech heaven to give your computer more life." And so I add that in my network marketing. And so when I say that, I'm flapping my wings. And because I'm techie, I use a program which is free called OBS Project. And that allows me to add my title as the background picture, the halo, the two sets of wings. I get to do all this interaction with the software. And so you can take advantage of OBS as well if you wanted to.
Yeah, this is Studio OBS, if you mean on that.
Yes, it's uh off the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank of what the OBS stands for. But if you type in your search engine OBS
Yeah,
project,
I think this is a project for students, for example. You can record your lesson, you can speak, you know, but it's I think it is no interaction between two people, but you can only record yourself because I know I tried to get it. It's not like a promotion for OBS, but I know what is it.
yes, I can record. I did not, but I can record this conversation as well. So yeah, I didn't do that, but with OBS, I can not only show you this background, but I can also record our window.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I know. That's fine. And how listeners can connect with you, how they can
Right,
find you? Yes. Can you
right.
share with us? I will put all this information, this podcast. It is going to be in a Facebook video and also audio on all those
Yeah.
platforms, Amazon, Apple, and others. Another, but you can share with us just for people, for listeners who will listen to this podcast, just to connect with you and reach out to you.
Well, the most common way that I get communication is for people to go to my contact page or in some other way they get my contact page link and select a half-hour free consultation with me. And we have a conversation over Zoom. And that ends up being pretty good. Uh, so I have a toll-free number for North America. I have a Canadian number and I have an American VoIP number. So and I, of course, like I said earlier, I use WhatsApp. I use a variety of different things to communicate with my clients.
So
And
they can go on your just letters, so www.
yes, dot tech-assist.ca as I've got written up here.
Yeah, so just
And
for you who will listen to this, just go there and you will see all details and info about Abby, so you can connect with
yes,
Abby.
yeah, there's a nice little blurb in bio on my about page. There's the contact page, which has a calendar. You can pick a day and time that works for you. There's my services page, what I provide for people. And I will be adding, I do have a blurb on there about education, but I'm going to be developing that and to make courses available for people and to make workshops available as well in the near future.
Well,
So it's
that's
all
pretty
there on the
good.
website.
Yeah, everything is fine. And do you have? I mean, I asked you many questions. I mean, today, and timer. It's really is flying very
Yes.
fast.
Yes, I
It's
see that.
such a great conversation and podcast. And can you do you have some message for listeners just about computer, what they need to do, just as a message to encourage them to maybe to think about what they don't think sometimes,
Well, what a
to
lot of
think
people think,
about the healthy of their computers, healthy,
yes,
just
yes.
to
Well, the biggest thing is get a tune-up. Go, whether you use my service or somebody else's service, get the computer tuned up, get it working in great performance. And then the second part is get an antivirus and a VPN, virtual private network. Those two are going to help you in a big way to protect yourself. But there's many other things I have available for free information about internet safety to be protected so that you don't get your computer crashing on you.
you know that's really nice, and I'm super happy to have you today as my special guest speaker. And Abby, you share such amazing story because every single person in this world has a story, but you're a
Yes.
very specific guest speaker, especially from industry, what an expertise, what you do,
Yes.
and you're really one of the unique guest speaker here because I really didn't have speakers as you are because in terms of expertise and computer fields, what you do. So I'm super happy. And I think that all listeners will be so beneficial. And I also put that they can just give some feedback on this podcast when and just can connect with you and just please connect with Abby. You have all techassis.com, you're going to know everything and just connect with Abby and I think it is going to be so helpful to you and very useful for our listeners.
Yes, totally agree. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for having time and join this podcast today. And I'm super, super happy and I'm so proud that I have you as my special guest speaker. So I think that we will have another maybe next year. And thank you so much and have a great day. Bye for now.
Bye.